Gotcha.
It really is. I mean, it wouldn't be allowed to happen now. That actually would it?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
would it? No, I mean that without having to stop, not finish the fight, but interrupt the fight.
I think they would give him that early in the fight would give the doctor a chance, and then they would maybe give the cornerman one more chance in the minute between the second and third rounds to have one last go at it, and they'd let the corner know that this was one last chance.
I mean, it sounds awful. I mean, couldn't really see on my little grainy screen that I was watching.
It was awful, and I can remember one particular version I've seen of it. You can see the blood coming out. You know, the referee talks. The referee talks to the cornermen. The cornermen are slapping all sorts of stuff inside it. We've seen some dreadful cuts with fighters this year. We've seen two guys that would have been stopped 5 years ago with a bad cornerman would have been stopped, and we saw a guy called Mick Williamson, Mick the Rub, stop cuts, and they would have kept on trying to stem that cut with different substances. But that added to the drama because, as Harty correctly said, they don't stop it, he's going to bleed to death in there.
So George Hagler knew even at this stage that there was a race against time of maybe his own body, let alone what Hearns might be doing to him.
Well, as disturbing as it might have looked to the referee, the cut was actually, it was a bad cut. It was bleeding profusely, but it was right in the middle of his face. So the blood was coming straight down his nose and not into either eye. So his vision wasn't really impeded by the cut, which would have been the first consideration, is that it left him defenseless. Actually, in the third round, they did bring him over to the doctor. Steele did stop the fight and lead him to the doctor. The other thing is, of course, that we haven't acknowledged in this discussion yet, is at the end of the first round, it's quite apparent in the second if you watch it. Hearns actually broke his hand in the first round. And so though he's continuing to throw that right and occasionally landing it in the second, it doesn't have nearly the effectiveness that it did in the first round.
Yeah. OK, let's hear a ferocious finish to the fight in just the third round.
Jabs going from him, then a good combination from Hearns as well. Throwing the jab from way back and skipping and running in this third round. Now Hagler has him on a corner and tries to unload him again. That's the way Hagler can stop Hearns running and using his reach advantage by cutting off the corners. And that blood is very bad indeed now by Hagler's head. All of a sudden, it is very bad indeed, and I think it could be stopped here. The ring doctor is called in. This could be the end of it. Suddenly the cut opened again. No, carry on, says the referee. But surely not too much longer. Hagler knows he now must go in and try and finish it before that cut worsens. And now Hagler really getting to work on Hearns. He has him on the ropes. Hearns must know that time is on his side because that cut is bad. It's over the bridge of the nose and by the right eye as well. And the blood looks thick in there. Hearns is really wobbled by a right and another right. He was wobbling all over the ring. He's on the ropes and he's down from a left hook. He's on the floor and he might not get up. I don't think he is going to get up. We said he was tired. The count looks like it's at 7, 8, 9. Hearns is not going to get up. He's on all over the place, and he'll have to be stopped even if he does. He is stopped. Hagler is the winner. Oh, my goodness, what drama. In the third round, Hearns beat the count, but Hagler is the winner.
George, just a final comment from you. It was short and brief, but dramatic and memorable.
Oh, it's certainly the greatest 8-minute fight you'll ever hope to see.
George, thank you very much indeed. George Kimball joining us from the States. One of the three judges was British Harry Gibbs. I interviewed Harry. He lived in Essex, didn't he?
Somewhere like that. Worked in the docks.
Yeah, I interviewed Harry Gibbs. I think he scored 2 completed rounds to Hagler, as did one other judge. The third judge scored both to Hearns. Even in the memorable 8 minutes we're talking about judging.
When you watch it, it was very, very difficult to judge. Yeah. It really was. I mean, had that gone 12 rounds, then, you know, there would have been controversy on a scale way beyond what we were talking about at the start of the show. But one of the fascinating elements about this was it was on a Monday night. There was a series of fights that were staged for years on Monday nights in Vegas, because the strategy of the casinos was that they would invite the high rollers in for the whole weekend so that they could completely empty their pockets across the weekend and then sit them ringside on the Monday night. So I was listening to that very commentary in bed. And by the time you got to that 7 minutes and 50 odd seconds, this would have been now by I guess about 5:30 in the morning. I just couldn't wait to get to work to talk about it. It wasn't televised live in this country. It was televised later on the Tuesday. I think it was on ITV.
I thought you were going to say you couldn't wait to get to school to tell everybody about it.
Yeah, you know, the fight's part of a 9 series of fights. You know, the Four Kings as we called them. And what's interesting when you look at it, in many ways, is how some of them, even though they're fantastic and they're etched in our memory, how the crowds weren't as big as you thought they were, and how they didn't make the money, even allowing for inflation. You heard George there talking about when the fight was meant to happen a year or so earlier, 5,000 people. I mean, that's not even a fight.
Yeah.
That's rubbish by these days standards.
If Hearns knew that if he could just hang in there for a couple more rounds, he'd have probably won, because Hagler would have had to stop because of his cut.
And that's possibly the case. But another thing that Manny Stewart said, in addition to the hand, which was proven, he said that he had a break from the changing room. When he went into the changing room, he saw Tommy Hearns, all of his friends are in there, all these guys in zoot suits from Detroit. And trust me, that's not a generalisation, that's a fact. And they were massaging Tommy, and he kicked them out. And what he insists that Tommy's legs were dead. Well, had Tommy knocked Hagler out in the first round, I doubt we'd have ever heard about the zoot-suited masseurs.
Wow, what a fight.